A bill was discussed today in Augusta that would guarantee that cash is at least partially king at every business throughout the state. The legislation would prohibit businesses from refusing to accept cash for in-person payments. It has a cap of $2,000, but the sponsor of the bill, Representative David Rollins, says he'd be okay with decreasing that amount. Opponents say private businesses should be able to make their own decisions as to what payments they take. Supporters mention this could help the more than 13,000 unbanked Mainers as well as tourists visiting the state.
They're left out of purchasing and having to leave the store and go back to wherever they come from with this impression of our hospitality maybe not being what it ought to be. So I think that it's important. I mean, the whole country's been run on our cash system forever. Eliminating that seemed counterintuitive to me.
Most businesses freely accept both cash and credit, but some choose not to, and it should be their decision. Ultimately, it's up to the consumer whether or not they want to patronize those businesses, and the businesses will succeed or fail accordingly.
The committee also discussed the possibility of adding certain government programs like state parks and municipality payments to the legislation.